In a Violent Nature, 2024, the film opens with a scene set in a dense and foreboding jungle. A group of friends ventures into the wilderness, seemingly on a casual hiking trip. They stumble upon a broken fire tower, and one of them finds a beautiful, old locket placed on the decaying wood of the structure. Unaware of its significance, the person takes the locket, unknowingly awakening an ancient horror that had long been dormant. As the group continues on their way, the ground beneath them starts to tremble. From the earth emerges a terrifying, human-like monster John who had been sleeping beneath the surface. His rest was tied to the presence of the locket, which now, separated from him, has stirred him from his slumber. Filled with rage and driven by the need to reclaim his locket, John embarks on a rampage through the forest. John's first encounter is with a trapped animal near a tree. Noticing a camera mounted on the tree, he realizes someone must live nearby. Soon, he hears the sound of a car horn, coming from a couple of houses in the distance. At one of these houses, a forest officer and a local man are embroiled in an argument about the dangers of setting traps in the forest. They are unaware that the monster is approaching. The forest officer leaves in anger, while the man, still furious, retrieves a gun from his house and steps outside. However, before he can do anything, the monster enters his home. As John surveys the house, he catches a glimpse of the locket, triggering memories of his father giving him the locket that once belonged to his mother. This locket was crucial to John's existence. It was the only thing tethering him to his peaceful, dormant state. Now that it's been taken, he is consumed by rage. The homeowner sees John and is paralyzed with fear at the sight of the grotesque figure. John, without hesitation, takes the man's gun and pursues him into the forest. Despite the man's attempts to escape, he falls into one of his own traps. John approaches and brutally kills him with his blood-stained hands. But when John returns to the house and picks up the locket, he realizes it's not his. His murderous rage had been for nothing. Fueled by frustration, John sets out again, determined to find his true locket. As John traverses the forest, he encounters the dismembered remains of the man he killed, scattering them further into the trees. While walking, John spots a group of friends by the roadside, the same group we saw at the film's start, now joyfully unaware of the terror that lurks nearby. Rather than immediately attacking, John hides in the bushes, listening as they tell a chilling local legend, the story of John. The group's conversation reveals that John was a mentally disabled man, born 70 years ago, who had the mind of a 5-year-old child. He was often tormented by the locals, who used him to settle scores with his father, a man they disliked. John's one joy was playing with toy cars. One fateful day, after a local man accidentally stepped on one of John's toys, causing the man to break his foot, the villagers plotted revenge. They lured John to a fire tower at night under the pretense of giving him a bag of toy cars, only to scare him with a man in a firefighter's mask. In his fright, John fell from the tower and broke his neck, dying instantly. To cover up their crime, the villagers dressed John in the firefighter's mask and spread the story that he had died in a tragic accident. John's father, knowing something was wrong, confronted the villagers but was beaten to death by the same group. The authorities covered up the murder, and over time, the village forgot about John. But John did not forget. A week after his father's death, John rose from the grave, seeking vengeance on those who had wronged him and his family. He slaughtered everyone involved in their deaths before he was finally laid to rest again, his rage pacified only by the presence of his mother's locket. The group dismisses the tale as just a story, but John, now fully aware of their presence, begins his attack. The first victim is Aaron, the boy who had heard the story from his uncle. John kills him gruesomely, shoving a stick through his mouth and tearing his body apart. Afterward, John heads to the ranger's station, donning a firefighter's uniform and mask symbols of his torment before resuming his hunt. The next morning, John finds 2 more members of the group, a pair of girls by a stream. He kills them both in horrific ways, one by drowning and the other by ripping her spine from her body. John disfigures their corpses in an almost ritualistic manner, showing the depth of his unrelenting fury. Meanwhile, 2 of the remaining friends are fighting over the disappearance of their companions. When one suggests seeking help at the ranger's station, John overhears their conversation and launches another attack, using an axe to brutalize both boys. After finding no sign of his locket on their bodies, John continues his search. Eventually, the 2 surviving members of the group, a boy and a girl, make their way to the ranger's station, where the ranger recognizes John's mother's locket. The ranger explains that the only way to stop John is to return the locket to him and put him back to sleep. However, their plan fails as John arrives at the station, overpowering them. In a final confrontation, John kills the ranger, ripping out his spine and brutally dismembering him. The film culminates in a chase through the forest, where the girl tries to escape with the locket. John relentlessly pursues her, and despite her efforts to flee, he always seems to be just behind her. In the end, John finds his locket, finally reclaiming the object that had kept him at peace. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.